what inspired you to write a book that is designed to help people get out of their own way?
Get out of your own way. Well, that's because it was my story and most of my clients. Most of the things that I heard about in the beginning of my career was why people couldn't do things, not why they could. It was just interesting to see, which I didn't know there were yeah buts at the time, but I heard that it was like, I can't do it because I'm from New Jersey and people from this other state do it. Or I can't do it because I need to be able to provide for my family and I wouldn't be able to make money volunteering or caring about Habitat or some other organization. And it just kept coming up again and again. And I was thinking, wow, these sounds like limiting beliefs. And then I started to see them in my own life. And I was like, does it have to be that way? Isn't there some other way around that? And it just made me more and more curious about, is it true that you just can't? Or is it just people projecting their own limits on what they could do on you, and then you actually making up your own on top of that to keep yourself from doing things?
What was your chosen profession that you interacted with these individuals?
It's funny, it happened when I look back at my whole career. I mean, I started as a freelance photographer, and I was taking pictures of people that were athletes, like New York Giants and the Jets, and I was taking pictures of politicians, and they told you all what they could do, by the way, never what they couldn't do. But you knew what turned out was what they couldn't do. So I watched people, and because I worked in photography and I moved to computers, Macintoshes, then I dealt with a lot of designers, and I was a consultant, and my job was to help improve computer departments. And the first yeah but that I recognized I heard was, yeah, but that's a Macintosh and we don't support Macintoshes. We're a PC house. And they would bring me in to go and work with the Macintoshes all the time. And I'd be like, but you have hundreds of these. They're like, yeah, but we don't really know how to work with those and those aren't that important. Okay. So yeah, my chosen profession in the beginning was a computer consultant, and hearing those yeah buts and hearing limiting beliefs, but then also later on as an executive coach, when I started to work with people, I saw that the same thing they did was, yeah, but these people aren't working the way I want to. They don't get things done fast enough. They aren't doing the things I want to. They're not listening to the direction. And I was hearing people project why somebody didn't accomplish something was actually the boss's yeah but. I was like, so you sure it's not somebody else? Like, sure it's not you? The way you're giving direction, the way you're communicating, the way you're telling things to people. Sure, you don't have a role? No, it's them. And I saw these disconnects, and I was like, this doesn't seem to make sense. Like, it can't be everybody else's fault. It's what ownership do you have? And I saw those as yeah buts.
Dovetail off of that, how have you seen excuses evolve during your time as a professional consultant?
I've seen it right in the beginning. I guess the internet wasn't so popular before the 90s, and I was still working as a consultant. So you didn't have as many people say to you what other people believed. It was only their circle, the people they knew. And now what I see is that everybody believes more in why things can't happen because they hear about it on the internet or they hear about it from social media or something. And they're like, look, there's a whole group of people that believe the earth is flat. Yeah, but it can't be round. Or I was like, hold on. So even extreme ideologies now are supported more by people, even when it doesn't make logical sense. And it's expanded more because whatever you believe, you want to believe more.
Is there one yeah but that reigns over all of the others?
On the book, there's 15, and I had to limit it because I didn't want to make it a compendium of every yeah but that we've ever heard in my life or ever will hear. So this maybe will be volume 1 of the yeah buts. But the one I think I hear the most is, yeah, but I don't have time. I mean, that seems to be the universal reason for people not to do something is, I don't have the time. And one of the things I talk about is COVID. Now, for people that didn't have time, now remember, we all have the same 1,440 minutes every day. The richest person in the world, the poorest person in the world has 1,440 minutes, and what they do with it is really the difference. But when I saw that during COVID, people that said, you know what I'm going to do someday, and this was before COVID, they were like, I'm going to exercise, or I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to do this. And then they had all the time in the world because they couldn't leave their house. They couldn't go anywhere. They had access to the same internet they had before, and they still didn't start it. And I went to some of them and I said, hey, I thought you said time was the issue. And they're like, yeah, I actually just don't want to do it. I said, you know what? That confession is more powerful than lying to yourself, believing you want to do something, but you won't. Saying that you're not going to do it, even though you have time, is real truth about yourself and understanding what's going on. So that was, and I still hear yeah buts all the time about time. It's amazing. But it's funny because it's mindset, right? So one yeah but, you could have 50 conquered, but if you decide this is the yeah but you're going to die on, this is the hill that you're like, no, it can't be. One of the yeah buts that I think a lot of people have is the yeah but not where I'm from. So I could conquer time, I could conquer what's the plan, I could conquer, but if you believe because of the way I grew up, because of what's happened in my life, because of what people think of me from where I'm from, if that one isn't the one that you want to conquer and you're looking at that going, well, yeah, I just can't do it. If that's your limiting belief, it doesn't matter. So any of the yeah buts that you believe that even with facts, and I talk about this in the book, facts are not going to change your mind. What I want to show you is that other people actually have overcome this. Famous people, regular people, and to just give you perspective to realize, well, what happens if that actually isn't as big a thing as I thought it was? It's just to shift your perspective enough. But ultimately, anyone can overcome as much as they want if they decide that now is the time. And I think the biggest factor in that is who's being robbed of your brilliance? Who's being robbed of your unique insight? Who's being robbed of why you were supposed to be the one to do it? And that if you did it, things would change for other people because they heard your story.
Where do you think yeah buts come from?
I talk about yeah buts not being no's. It's a lot easier to say, no, I'm not going to do it. That's more definitive. But when you say yeah, but, you're really saying, yes, I can, and here's my excuse. Is this okay? You're almost testing your excuse. So I think yeah, buts until somebody pushes back. I think they come internally as in, here's the reason why I can't. And I feel so much better saying why I can't. I feel better because it's not my fault, it's my environment's fault. Or it's the amount of work that I'm being given. Or, you know, I'm a planner, and without a plan, I'm not going to do it because it's not right to do something without a plan. I think, yeah, buts, actually, I know they come from us, but they also come from people who we surround ourselves with that also don't see your potential or don't see it in themselves, or a lot of that self-talk where it's like, I never really heard I could, so I might as well just believe I can't.
You think they're more nature or nurture?
I'll give you a real good accounting answer. It depends. It's not. It's both. It's not just one because it depends on what it is. For some people, time is something that is so used now that environmentally, who says they have plenty of time? Even retirees say, you know, I don't really have any time. I got grandkids, I got golf, I got things going on. I was like, weren't was the whole reason you retired is because you wanted to have more time? And then I see people that are early in their career and they don't have time. And I remind people about time. I was like, this might be the least busy you ever are, actually, because you only might be more busy when you're actually further in your career. So I think you get it environmentally from so many other people. You get it internally. You get it from your upbringing. Yeah, there's there's not one answer to your yeah buts, but ultimately, like anything else, you can let it conquer you, or you can actually you can leverage it and go, if I overcome this, what else is possible?
In your opinion, what percentage of people sabotage or hold themselves back from success?
Define success, right? So some people just being different or better than their heritage and their upbringing, and them being the first one not to get divorced, like my family, right? That's a success. That's outside of business, right? Just having kids that care about me enough that still are proud to call me dad in their 20s is a success. So I think let's expand the definition of success to look at as what do you define as success? I think professional and personal, they're separate, but they're all part of your same life. So let's look at it from defining what success is and then understanding, okay, well, what level of success? How about just being on the path where you feel like you've already accomplished something because you've seen other people that are similar to you not do it, or even your own family hasn't been able to do it? Or because it's not just money, right? It's not just one thing. You can make a lot of money and be completely miserable. So do you let the world define success, or do you know what success is defined as? So that's part of what I ask people. I was like, overcoming your yeah, but what's the purpose? What happens because you do? Who else's life do you touch because you took the opportunity to overcome a yeah, but? So let's not look at it from just the way the world looks at a yeah, but. Let's look at it as like what can really happen because you do this.
Hi, I'm Marc A. Wolfe, author of the best-selling book, Yeah, But Cut Through the Noise to Live, Learn, and Lead Better. 15 different chapters about yeah, buts that I've heard over my professional career. Things like, yeah, but I don't have time. Yeah, but what's the plan? Yeah, but what if I fail? These yeah, buts aren't about preaching at someone about how they're wrong. It provides insight and research, as well as butt busters to help you get through them. Pick up a copy of Yeah, But Cut Through the Noise today.
Does the new generation have different yeah buts that you would never come across before?
You would think there's different yeah, buts, yet I see they're kind of universal, that there are certain ones that people use no matter on age. And I think that's more of just mindset. You can get somebody who's 20 years old and actually has a more driven, focused mindset than somebody who's 50 years old and is still working in their career and not working on retirement. So I think age is not, it really is, how do you think about yourself? What do you think about your environment? And how do you pivot, right? How do you change? People that are still willing to change, like I'm in my 50s, I'm writing a book, I'm doing interviews, do keynotes. I didn't do that in my 30s. So there's things that now are going to be new yeah buts for me that weren't a yeah but 20 years ago. So I think it's depend on where you are in that process of your own evolution.
How would you describe the way this book came about? What you want to accomplish with it?
How it came about and what I want to accomplish have actually morphed. When it came about is when I was taking my coach training in 2014, and I heard the word yeah, but used in a context. And I was like, okay, during coaching, you're going to hear these things and you're going to hear, yeah. I was like, oh, yeah, buts are a thing where executives use all the time. Okay, I see it. And I thought at that point, I was like, I like the words, yeah, but. I think that's interesting. What I'd like to see it do manifested into more of a, I don't want people to underutilize their skills and their, who they're created to be. And the more I recognize that, and the more I recognize that people did that too often, the more I realized I was like, oh, this is one thing that I see that consistently comes up. So what I'd like it to be, and what I believe it will, is it's kind of a springboard for people to think about things differently, because everything's been written about before. This is nothing new. My yeah buts are just a new way to package lots of other books people have seen. So it has to speak to someone in a way where they're like, how about this guy who's not an author, who's writing his first book, thinks about things a little different, that actually resonates with me in a way where it makes sense and it's something worth pursuing and thinking about. If people just looked at things different and been like, hey, by the way, here's some of the success stories that came because of having these conversations about yeah buts, or talking to other people that it's not my yeah but I've helped other people with their yeah buts because I gave them your book. That's the kind of thing that I was like, huh, this can be me overcoming my yeah buts, helping other people overcome theirs, and they're being literally changed because they stopped using excuses and alibis as the way to not do something.
The person who's perusing Amazon, what would you have them say that this book could do for them?
If you're at a place where you feel stuck, and stuck can mean so many things, stuck in your career, burnt out, exhausted, doing the same thing. Yesterday, I just spoke to somebody who works in an industry that's very exciting to me, doing sports and other things. And they just had a conversation about, I just don't know if this is as fulfilling as it used to be. And it's somebody I know well, and I was just thinking, that's interesting, because what you do, other people would die to do a minute in. Well, even at that point, there's got to be some yeah buts in there. It's like, well, yeah, but I'm so far into my career that what could I do later? How could I evolve? Do I need to leave? Do I retire? Do I stay? So I think there's lots of different reasons that people have yeah buts. It's not always because things are going wrong. It's sometimes, which I'd love people to think about, what could be even better if you remove these from your life? If you remove the yeah buts that are keeping you from doing something that's so exciting, so new, and something you've actually dreamed about, but you've limited to not happening because of all the reasons why it can't. Another way to put it is like, what happens if it could? So I'd love people to look and be like, yeah, but cut through the noise to live, learn, and lead better. Each one of those elements, if you have any of those things that you want to do, might be a good opportunity to pick up a yeah, but book.
Anything that you want to say that we haven't covered?
I'm excited because this was 14 years in the making. I didn't spend 14 years writing this book. I spent 13 and a half years pretty much saying I didn't want to do it. And when I decided that it was something on my heart and I was really supposed to do it, and I was using yeah buts to keep me from doing it, it came together pretty much in a year and a half. And I look at this and I was thinking, how can you show other people how to overcome something unless you've done it and you kind of document the journey and show them what the issues are and why it's important to do this for other people? And when you think about this now, and even doing this interview, I was like, I really want it to matter to somebody else, not just to me, but I want it to matter to someone else that looks at it and goes, this is really pretty cool that this book speaks to me, because it doesn't yell at me. It doesn't say I'm wrong. It doesn't say that shame you into doing something. What it does is it speaks to people's hearts to talk about, this is more than just about you. Sometimes about your family, sometimes about other people in your life, sometimes about strangers you don't know, that if you do something, you're literally impacting people you did not know. And most people want to have an impact on other people's lives. And I think the yeah buts are one of the biggest reasons why people can't have the impact they really should. And if you knew my background and knew where I came from, I don't even have a right to be able to do this book, because I had so many reasons why a guy who didn't write great reports in grade school still feels the same way about himself, even in my 50s. And I know there's a lot of other people that literally have been stuck in one, maybe two yeah buts are the ones that are keeping you from accomplishing what you really should. It's that opportunity that I'd love people to be able to embrace and tell me back what happened because they overcame it. A yeah, but is about judging ourselves, right? So, and you brought this up. It's like, yeah, but is sometimes you judge yourself because of your history, your backstory, the way you're brought up. Some people judge you because of lots of things, right? It's, they knew you back when, and now 20 years later and 30 years later, they're looking at you going, oh, I still remember the way you were, so you can't be any different. I was like, really? And then there's even people close in our lives that undermine it, people we trust and care about, that say things like, yeah, but, and because of who they are, because of the role they play in our life, or because of the status they have in our life, we take what they say as the most important thing. And I was like, wow, there's so many people that judge us, and we mistakenly have judged other people, where it's not a one-way street, right? If some stranger can come in your life like me, who literally can go and write a book and help you think about something, what right do I have? But it's really for you to reflect and go, well, now that I do think about it that way, maybe this is just a spark to think about things differently, and then you take it to where it's supposed to be. All I want to be is a non-judgmental stranger that speaks into people's lives and looks at this as an opportunity for you to be like, Imagine doing something bigger than you thought you could do just because you remove some of the biggest blockades that you or others have created. How cool would that be? And then you get to do it for somebody else. To me, that's kind of magic. I mean, that just doesn't happen every day. And I think by writing this book, by doing more talks, by having other conversations, by talking to strangers, there's going to be a shift to people actually doing some other things. I mean, before I even wrote this book, 3 people wrote a book way before I did on other things because they reminded me and I helped them get over their yeah buts. This was years ago. So I helped people do something I couldn't even do. I think that's crazy. I've helped people. I'm not a health coach. I don't even work out. Don't want anybody to know that, but it's true. I've helped people actually run marathons and things like that because I help them move past their yeah buts. Some people have actually become CEOs of organizations because they move from waiting and wanting to understand patience and understand their yeah buts to move beyond it. So I've been involved in people's lives that I sometimes are like, wow, how did I get here? Because I'm true to who I am. That's it. I think the more you're honest and you're the same on the way you are outside and inside, and you have that same ability to be true to yourself and understand yourself, man, things really happen then.